Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, first of all, I'm going to be discussing the new mutations. Unfortunately, while discussing the new mutations, I'm not going to run a mutation. They pretty intensive on brain usage, so you're going to have to be very well focused, and communication makes it all the simpler for you to complete the mutations at the moment. So if I were in a mutated dungeon right now, it would be much easier for me to be on comms with them than for me to explain the dungeon to you. Now, there are several parts of the mutation. I'm just going to kill this guy, then I'll start explaining it while viewing some parts of it. So anyway, the mutations are quite simple at the moment. They grant the enemies quite a big bonus in terms of powers. Okay, this should be the perfect spot to hide in. Okay, let's go look at Lazarus for a minute. Where is it? Requarter, Lazarus, Instrumentality. Mutation, Eternal. Now, these are the weekly mutations. These are what they have done for the entire duration of this entire week, right? May have the following perks. Creeping. On death, enemies cast a spell granting other enemies in the area void empowered. Now this you only get in the second level of mutations. This isn't part of T1 or T2, so yeah, there is something else. Oblivion. Enemies apply leech on hit, dealing void damage and healing the enemy over time. Void resistance. Enemies have void absorption. That means they're now resistant to void attacks. So a primary void gauntlet assault or anything like that isn't going to do a lot of damage to them. They're going to be absorbing a lot of that damage. Abyssal. Enemies deal a percentage of all damage as void damage. There you go. So all of the damage is coming out from void. It's something that you can use to block off that particular effect. And at the bottom is Paranoid. Enemies apply building stacks of Paranoid when hit. At 4 stacks causes a void burst to appear at your location. Now that's like a lightning strike. When it hits you, it just does this massive burst of damage on you. If you in light armor, if I am correct, it does almost 80% of your health. So if you are weaker in that particular allocation, example, you are a healer, if you end up with 4 stacks and you get hit and you don't have full health at the time, you're more than likely going to go down. That causes problems for your teams because you lose points. Okay, items have a chance to drop with these perks. Abyssal Conditioning. After being hit with void damage, gain 4% void absorption for 5 seconds. Each armor piece with this perk increases the potency of the effect. Abyssal Conditioning. After being hit with void damage, gain 4% void absorption for 5 seconds. Each armor piece with this perk increases the potency. Right, as you can see, no, they're both the exact same one. I don't know why it said the exact same thing. Okay, so this is your first level. This is, if I'm correct, your second level. Vampiric enemies heal a percentage of damage done. Enemies cast a shield that blocks players' projectiles. So this is where it starts to become a bit difficult for ranged players. And then number 3, Curse. This is now in the higher tiers. This is tier 6, 7 and 8 if I am correct. I'm not 100% sure. I know that 9 and 10 are elite, 1 and 2 are easy, and then the middle is everything else. I'm not 100% sure on the breakdown of them. Blowback Void. Using abilities depletes a global affliction. When the affliction is depleted, a zone is cast on all players, which silences players in the area. After the affliction expires, the zone deteriorates after void damage detonates, dealing void damage to players in the radius. Okay. Truncated. While silent zones are active, all players lose natural mana regeneration. Standing in the silent zone grants a large amount of mana regeneration. Okay, it's another whole situation here. They've put on a lot of sensors. Now, are there any things that you can complain about these upgrades in terms of potential? Well, yes, there's actually a lot to be complained about, and I'm only going to start hitting on them in the next few seconds. So bear with me as this is going to get a bit rough. So, number one, how good are these modifiers? Well, they are quite fun to do. I'm not going to deny that they are fun to play with the modifiers. They give you a thrill, they pull you along for a nice ride in terms of the activities you're going to complete. But the problem with them is they just advance them way too crazy. I understand the 600 gear power and above, right? That's the first thing. The second thing, the stacking of disadvantages, they put way too many in a single run. Think about it from games which have these type of difficulty modifiers, such as Destiny and along that class. Things can get really difficult, especially for high-end activities like basically these dungeons count as strikes. They're not really going to count in the same level as the raid. Raids are difficult, they puzzle intensive, they cost you a lot of time, they make things severe. That's the way that they generally work. And this game just doesn't have that for its high-end content. Its high-end content is just, let's dump a bunch of modifiers. We're not going to make it simpler for you. We're going to make sure that the modifiers only make it more difficult for you. So yeah, we understand you want it to be more difficult. The gear advantage modifier is absolutely insane. It's not a fair modification, and when I say fair modification, I mean anybody who has completed dungeons when they were underpowered, they know that the fairness of it was the enemies dealt a little bit more. Like for example, if you are 10 gear score below, it's like there's nothing to fear. In this one, if you are 5 gear score below, there is something to fear. And to be honest, I have done it from the point of view of doing T2 and doing T3. At T3, the damage is just so overpowering. It was literally 17 above me. The damage is so overpowering that one hit from even a normal enemy busts through more than 80% of my health. And I am a tank with almost 16k health. So you can imagine that as 16k loss per hit. That's no small tickle or trinkle of damage. That is a huge hit. That's game-ending type of situations. So yeah, that was really horrible to go through. I don't really approve of the way that they made that modifier in terms of power. Then there's the advanced modifiers on the dungeons. Some of them are a bit insane. The fact that enemies get to deal back damage to you after 4 stacks, it's kind of pointless. It means that basically only high powered DPS should try and do any damage, and they shouldn't try to hit the target more than 4 times. So basically they're saying you must be able to 3 hit kill, and if you can't, they're penalizing you for not having that type of power. I know it seems like it isn't that bad, but trust me, it's much worse than I'm making it out to be. And yes, I am saying it's much worse than it was made out to be, because this isn't even a fair challenge. Let's just put it that way. Okay, I'm just going to struggle a little bit here on the outskirts. Just see how much I have to kill before I can change weapons properly. I'd have to kill another 17 of them. That's a lot. Okay, right, so nonetheless, when it comes to these heavy impacts from the modifiers, that stack building which I just listed and the void damage implications make a big difference to the entire run of the dungeon. They are very susceptible to void damage, which means a lot of people were using amethyst stones for the sake of Lazarus gear to give you that advantage. And with them getting absorption, that means that there is no weakness to exploit on the skeletons. Obviously, when it changes week by week, you're going to have to start switching out your lightning gems for abyssal gems when they no longer have void resistance. So you're going to use void as your primary objective against them. You're basically going to have to go through so much of changes just for that little bit of power. It's not even fun. And yeah, that's just the start of this craziness. There's still more to talk about, to be honest, and I'm just keeping it here for the sake of friendly content, let's just put it that way. It may seem like I'm being very unfriendly to them in terms of what I'm saying, but I'm reviewing it fair if I am being honest. Anybody who positively reviews it is just trying to ease off the woes of the company because they feel that the game is quite good, but they deserve a little bit of leeway. You know what? You can say they deserve leeway. You can give them as much leeway as you want, but you have to be honest about it at some point. And I'm honest from point one all the way down. So I don't have anything to fear when it comes to whether my comments are good or bad. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing about the craziness of the dungeons and completions. Well, one thing that I can't say without a doubt is the dungeons are... Not the dungeons, sorry. The expeditions are really not living up to the hype. The mutators are making it a bit easier for you to gain equipment. Honestly, a lot of people didn't understand that going through a dungeon gives you equipment a lot faster. So a lot of people, this is hitting them by surprise, and they feel that it's a bit unfair that they have to do so many elite runs and so much to catch up to the level. The level of drop isn't even fair, because say for example you have one weapon, like example my rapier, it's really low on level, and you keep collecting bits for your rapier from the dungeon. It's only going to pull you up by 5 or 6 points. There's no guaranteed high jumps. There's no guaranteed fast traveling through your gear score. The umbral shards are really expensive. One moment, I actually have a piece of gear that's 600. I can show you what I mean by it's really expensive. I have 60 umbral shards, right? Look at it here. This is the upgrade, and let's go. 1 level up cost me 1. 2 levels, 3 levels, 4 levels, 5 levels, 6 levels. As you can see, 9 is going to cost me 54 shards just to get it 9 up. And as you can see, I can only go to 604. Gear score adjusted to the average of legwear expertise and the item's gear score. You can see I'm missing gear score on it if I upgrade it all the way. So if I went down and I put it at 504, it's still not going to give me the full spec. As you can see, it's not giving me my upgrade. It's just the way that it works. It's really unfair. I know it sounds like I'm just whining about it completely, but their system is just so flawed. There's too many things to complain about. They've given too much of room for players to be upset, and I don't think that any player can be blamed for being upset about it. The umbral shards are super hard to get your hands on, number one. Number two, there's such a high demand for you to use them just to get a small little boost. As you saw, 50 of them is T2, right? T2 is no joke. T2 is a massive undertaking. It means you have to have 504 gear score as a minimum to not have disadvantages applied. And if you're going higher, you're going to need more and more gear score to amp you up. If anybody really wants to do max level without having to have to struggle, they're going to literally have to kill everything all the way several times in each mutation. So you'll do a mutation 1 and a mutation 2 about 5 or 6 times to get up to 508. Then you'll do that there a few more times afterwards. So you're looking at about 8 tries on the first 2. Then you're going to do your middle section with moving past the easy or the normal level to the advanced level where it starts getting to 610, 612. You're going to do several times in there so you can advance your research again. Then you're going to go all the way again and restart all of your middle levels all over again so that you can get up to 620. Then you're finally going to reach 620 and you're going to have to pump even more umbral shards altogether to get to 625. Finally, once you have done about 40 or 50 dungeons, you're going to reach 625 and the cost on you is going to be insane. Now, obviously, as you're going up with level, I believe that it does increase the number of umbral shards you're getting. But it's no excuse for anybody to use that you're just going to use an umbral shard to try and amp you up level by level through a dungeon. It's insane, right? The umbral shards are crazy expensive. Crafting the mutated orbs is also expensive. It's not an easy task. It's not accommodating of the player. So yeah, that's another thing to complain about if you really want to complain about it. Accommodating the player is very important. A lot of people think that it's all about the experience of the game. And you can say it's the experience of the game, but I'll tell you that the game doesn't have an experience behind it. And the reason is simple. The game is a mix and match of other games. It's using delay tactics to hold off content instead of creating new content. They're using old content as fillers for not giving us updates that are proper. They did events, which is something I have to say is good. They have no roadmap out for what we can expect and when we're getting any type of real DLC or any type of content which is supposed to be free. And that's the thing. They have so much on their plate and they're just not delivering. The only thing they gave us is this recent little excuse, right? I'm gonna call it an excuse for them to buy more time. They've lied to us about the update, as I said before. They said they tested it. They said they made sure that it didn't have any of the common glitches. And the first thing that we get is a common glitch when it comes to storage and trade posts. There is a glitch that has occurred every single time they've updated the game. It basically says they don't care about us as their audience. They're just doing whatever they want to. They're not cared about the implications of bad service, because I don't think they really cared about the progress of the game. Compared to something like Valheim, where the people developing it will tell you there's no update because they're working on something, and when something comes out, you don't go, oh wow, so this is what all that wastage of time was for. You're like, alright, they really did a lot. They've added several other building structures. They've altered this part of the game. And that is something you can always comment on a good game. Example, Destiny as well. They may have stalled DLCs once a year. They amp everything up that's already in the game to reach the level of the game at that point. And after that, there you'll get this massive update that tells you that amping up was for a reason. Now, New World is not brand new, right? It's definitely not brand new. It's out for several months. First DLC time has come. There's been no expansion of the map. Nothing to pull us up to another level. What did they do? They gave us a filler to pull us up to a new level. What is the purpose of it? It's a delay tactic. They're going to lose a lot in terms of actual content because of their bad decisions. Sorry about that, I'm just busy fighting this silly ghost. Finally. I needed to get rid of the rapier before I went on to what I was about to do. So yeah, there we go. Full blood tree, that means I can now switch out weapons. And that rapier isn't staying with me. That's a terrible weapon. This might be what replaces it. I really like the Void Gauntlet. It's quite a handy little weapon. Ranged and close range at the same time. I need to just double check my kill score and power. Go straight attributes. 406 damage, 715, alright. Fantastic. Now just let it recover. Okay, so yeah, that's just the basics of what I had to go over when it came to the dungeons. As I said, they amped up the difficulty way too much. They made it more difficult. You can tell that it's a time stall tactic. It doesn't scream, yay, game content. Just like the PvP story was a stall tactic, you could tell they're stalling to try and hold audience. They lost audience because of their decisions, and to be honest, at the rate this game is going, I'm really looking forward to something else to replace this game. The problem is, I'm playing League of Legends. It's fun, right? But you're going to rage in League of Legends, and you need something else to fill in the time. I can play Ark. The problem is Ark is so addictive that once you play it, you're stuck in it for days at a time, and you're not going to come out. Plus, getting content is just as difficult in Ark as it is in this game. A lot of people don't have the luxury of getting good content with every single video. You have to be a master player, and you have to have very good mods to actually get you up to that type of a level. I do have a very good mod that I can do that with, but it's just for the sake of fun that I am playing Ark, and it's not really that I want to mod everything. I want to do an ultimate Ark and climb up from Ark to Ark. So complete the island, wipe the island, restart the island with another mod, wipe the island again, go to Scorched Earth, complete Scorched Earth with my regular character, jump onto Aberration, complete Aberration, jump back to Scorched Earth with the modded series. That's the types of things that I'm looking at. To be honest, this game doesn't look like it has longevity. The poor workmanship of the company is definitely showing. Let's see, what else do they have, which is a massive negative, which is showing like no man's business. Okay, yeah, so that was just about the basics. Sorry about this. You get a little bit of comedy show here for no extra cost. Okay, not the best, but it's definitely something worthwhile. Sorry about it. You get this little bit of dead air at the back of my video. It's just the way that it's going to be. Unfortunately, I started this at the wrong point, so yeah, it's going to really mess up the way it's supposed to go. taken a lot of damage from indirect assaults. And yeah, I'm struggling like crazy because I'm not using proper weapons, as you can tell. Have a special perk on it that allows me to do more damage. So yeah, unfortunately, this is like the worst fight I've had in a long time. Okay, well, I'll cut it off here. So see you all in the next one.